everybody. Welcome to my podcast. I am Frankie Avalon.
And I am Ryan O'Quinn. And welcome back to another episode. Frankie, we've got a guest in-house today.
Really?
We do.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
There's
Just
someone
like that.
here.
Out of nowhere.
That's
Just
a
like
guess. Guess who?
Yes. This young man, can I say young man? You're younger
please,
than me.
please do.
So
Please
this
do.
old fella here.
Old geezer.
Gabriel Brown and I go way back. You will know him, audience, perhaps as Black Gryph0n online. I know you as Gabe. What I want to do is go all the way back, and let's talk about where you're from. To ask that question even of you, where are you from? It's not like you can go, I'm from New York, because there's a lot more to it than that. Tell us where you were born.
I was born in Annapolis, Maryland. My dad was a contractor. He's worked for NASA, Boeing, Goddard, Raytheon, SAIC, Aeros, all science companies.
So not a very bright guy.
No,
obviously.
he's a dummy. Like I said, I'm a chip off the old block. But
I know your dad. He is not dumb.
Yes, yeah. It's that's a spectrum. We can talk about that because you got
sure.
I inherited what I would call some of his social difficulties. Because I think there's only so much room in the brain, and so we all specialize, right? And my dad is a genius, math, engineering, brilliant.
Wow.
Hard to have a conversation with him,
But you don't have that part.
Oh,
I mean,
I would say I'm kind of going like I've seen that it is hard for him to have conversations with people. I think because he's so brilliant.
Yeah.
And
makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's about like some relating to people or like understanding what other people will understand or like, assuming someone's threshold of knowledge when you work in these fields, and it's your daily language, to speak about coding and physics and stuff like that. You kind of sometimes I think forget where other people are in their understanding.
That would be wow.
Yeah, that's most people.
That's most
people.
Sure.
So he's very pleasant to talk to. He's a great guy. But I've seen people
I just
kind of
smile and
glaze
nod
over.
knowingly.
Right. Yeah. A lot of nodding.
Yeah. Segue. I love you, Dad. But we, Annapolis, Maryland, Martinsville, Virginia, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Anchorage, Alaska, Sierra Vista, Arizona, and then I joined the military. I was stationed in Millington, Tennessee.
What
for
branch?
A brief period. Navy. I actually joined to be a Navy SEAL. I had a previous injury. I'd broken my leg falling off a cliff when I was 17. I was able to get waived. I was able to pass the PST, physical screening test, to become a Navy SEAL. Then in training, I had a skydiving accident, and I re-broke the same leg. It wasn't a full compound fracture, but it was a hairline, and it was enough to wash me out of the program. And so I ended up cross-rating to gunner's mate, weapons specialist. And then I found out about the Navy Band. I didn't know what that was.
The Navy Band.
Navy Band, U.S. Navy Band. Every branch has one. And except the Marines because they're Navy, Department of the Navy. And we do, I think I'm wrong about that. I think the Marines do have a band. Is it the Army? No. Whatever.
No,
they'll correct me.
You're a musician.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm a singer.
What'd you play?
I mostly sing. I can play.
So
keyboard.
you weren't really musical instruments,
right?
So
I played
vocalist.
keys sometimes. I played guitar. I played bass. But my brother can do all of those way better than me, and so I don't consider myself the musician of the family. I'm the singer. So I was stationed in Millington, Tennessee, and then I joined the 7th Fleet Band based out of Yokosuka, Japan, and I would perform in the native language of the countries that we would go to.
So you traveled I want to. Yeah, we got to stop you there. You can't just say I sang in 10 languages, but go.
Sing in 10 languages. Explain, because we talked about this before. Explain to this. It is amazing how and what you do in 10 different countries and languages and sing. Explain that.
Well, so people have asked me, and I think you asked me when we first discussed this, if I speak those languages. I don't, but I have a nearly photographic auditory memory. So if I hear something, and I used to be even better than I am now, I only have to hear it a few times to memorize it. And so what I would do is I would hear a song, I'd listen to it 2 or 3 times, and then I have it. Then it's up there, and they're still up there. I can still sing in those languages.
Now that's mind-boggling. And I asked, and I said, Gabe, let me ask you, do you just do like one song? No. In these languages of Japanese or wherever, he sings a set.
Yeah.
Of that language. I mean,
You're gonna have to. I'm gonna put you on the spot. because that's what we do. That is the hot seat. That's what Frankie and I call it. But give us an example of, and just pick one from your computer up there, and just sing a few bars of whatever language.
Okay, so Japanese senokaze would be Watashi no haka no made nakanaide kudasai soko ni watashi wa imasen nemte nan ka imasen.
That's really good. But I understood that.
Oh, you did?
Oh, you got it.
You know why? What he just said is there's no towels in the men's room. That's it.
That's it. You got
You're
it.
right, man.
How did they know that?
People were crying. That's why. There's no towels in
you
the
know, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Gabe, I want to say, and you do this in 10 different languages.
Yeah.
And sing 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's photographic ear. Now that
photographic auditory. Yeah, that's
kind of it sounds like an oxymoron when you say photographic. Generally, visual is what you. Yeah.
But that had to have. I mean, obviously, it aided your ability to sound like anybody.
Yes. So when I left the military at 23, I'm kind of like, what am I gonna do now?
What are my skill sets?
Yeah, my skill sets are I'm a weapons specialist, I'm a skydiver, and I'm a scuba diver, and I can sing. Where do you go with that? You know, so I kind of went first. I tried to do voice acting, and I booked some movies and stuff. But you know, it's funny. You hear, oh, voice acting, SAG rate, you make $2,000 an hour. It's like, wow, $2,000 an hour is amazing. What they don't tell you is you work like 3-4 hours a month, unless you're series regular. You know, so
anybody call?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, right,
exactly. So I kind of shifted to YouTube. I was in Vancouver, Canada for a little while, did some like music stuff, did some voiceover, and then I moved back to Arizona. Actually moved in with my parents because I was broke. And I was like, okay, what can I do with these skills? And I saw actually my buddy Rumi, I didn't know him personally at the time, and some other people were doing impression videos on YouTube. And I was like, well, I could probably do that. I didn't even thought about it before. But I did the same thing. And when I memorize a song, I can hear it in my head. So when I'm imitating it, I'm trying to imitate, like you said, the mannerisms, the timbre, you know, the formant of the voice, the accent, even the way that people move. And I would try to imitate the way that they looked. And I think we discussed this briefly before. I was diagnosed with autism when I was young. I think being able to mimic actually helped me fit in. But there is still some of that social ineptitude there, because while I may be able to imitate what is socially acceptable, I don't innately understand it. And that's gotten me in trouble before, because I don't know. Like, I couldn't describe to you why it is socially acceptable to dress like this and not like this, or why it's okay to say this and not this. You know, I can just imitate.
So what level, Gabe, would you say the autism that you just explained would be? I mean, there's severe, which we know what that is.
Right.
So your level would be...
So it's interesting, because even from when I was diagnosed to now, they have changed the way that it's, I guess, categorized. And I think that's because, you know, it's a spectrum, and life is infinitely complex, and you can't really categorize anything accurately, but we have to do it to make sense of our infinitely complex environment. So that as my disclaimer, I was diagnosed as a 2E, Asperger's syndrome, and profoundly gifted, which, you know, I don't say profoundly. It sounds pretentious, but it is a diagnosis. And they have since changed Asperger's syndrome to level 1 autism. So that's just what I tell people now. But it means essentially the same thing. What I find interesting is I think that it is categorized based on how well, personally, my experience, how well you can blend in or fit into society. I think I'm pretty severe. Where I got lucky is that because I can mimic, because I can mirror, I was able to mask well. And that's what they call it, masking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I can't explain to you why something is socially acceptable. I just know to mimic it. So, like, you know, that person I am told is dressing well. If I dress like that person, I will be dressing well. But the best way I could describe it to maybe someone who's neurotypical or who isn't on the autism spectrum is if you're in a different country and you don't speak the language,
right,
and you hear somebody say something and you repeat it, you could be being incredibly offensive and not know it because you don't know what you're saying. You can repeat it, but you don't know what you're saying. That's how I feel almost all the time,
Ah.
no matter where I am.
Wow.
When I was in Japan, I was learning Japanese from a friend of mine who was a girl, and people would make fun of me because they said I spoke like a girl, but I was learning.
You were just
Oh my
From a
God.
girl.
Mimicking vocally? You were
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. I
You
wasn't.
have-
I didn't like high pitch, but like I would
Oh,
say,
was it?
sugoi desu ne, you know,
Oh,
or
you're-
like, and they're like, you sound like a girl. I was like, yeah.
More feminine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I was
yeah.
using
Right.
phrasing or
It's
or pitch.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
But same as that, I couldn't tell you why I sound like a girl. They could,
Yeah.
and I believe them because enough people said it. But I feel the same way sometimes, you know, with people. So I have learned in my 35 years on this earth how to fit into a degree, but it's been a problem even in my career that, you know, I will say or do something that is interpreted very differently than I intended for it to be, and I can go in hindsight and go, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have done that, but I couldn't tell you why.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
We discussed about some things that he dislikes. Right, Gabe? And
Yeah.
we talked about one thing, I agree with you in this.
Yes.
Driving a car.
Hate
Oh,
driving.
yeah.
Hate driving. You know this.
Yes.
I hate
Rarely
driving
drive.
a car.
Yeah.
I am in fear of driving a car.
Yep.
I'm always looking at the other people speed. Why?
Yes.
It annoys me to see. Don't forget what we're dealing with. We're
Yeah.
dealing with people that have problems, druggies,
Yes.
schizophrenics,
Yeah.
alcoholics, and you're within 3 feet of each other. You know.
Operating a multi-ton motor vehicle at high speeds.
So I agree. Anything else you have like that?
Well, that I think that is an offset of my social anxiety because I fear shopping. That's something I hate.
Now that I don't agree with that. I like shopping.
hate shopping. Before I was married, I just wouldn't go out. I preferred to be alone, where I could, where I had, and you mentioned this word, and I think it's probably very accurate, where I felt like I had some semblance of control over the way I was perceived, over my environment. Even then, that's a fallacy to a degree, because there's a lot of things beyond our control, and we accept a certain amount of uncertainty in our life. But if I could avoid those situations, I would. Where it seems counterintuitive is I love extreme sports. I love skydiving. I love scuba diving. I love flying airplanes. I build ultralights and I fly those, and that is scary to a lot of people. The reason it's not scary to me is in almost all of those settings, you're alone. You're not speaking to anybody.
Right,
you're
right,
not
right.
up in the sky with other
Not
people.
communicating with anybody.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Let's
right.
let's. That's fascinating, and let's dive into the psychology of. And I don't know.
Skydiver, scuba dive.
No, well, that too. But I don't know if you know the answer to this. But how do you reconcile someone who has not a fear of, but given the choice, you wouldn't go out in a public situation and walk the mall to shop, but you have performed on stage for hundreds of thousands of people. Like what happens to make that work?
We talked about this a little bit too, because I feel like you might feel the same way, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this question as well. Because for me, and I can't really describe to you why, I'm very comfortable on stage. There's something about, because I know that I'm good at performing. I know that. I know I can get up and I can sing really well, and I can perform really well.
Is it a case of, and keep your train of thought, but is it a case of utilizing that same mechanism where you are becoming someone else? I mean, for those of you who don't know, Gabe was on America's Got Talent. He and his brother were on America's Got Talent. And so the moment for someone with, quote, social anxiety disorder, and to go, oh, in a few minutes you're going to be live in front of millions and millions of people, do you take on a different persona and that allows you to do that? Or do you?
I remember pretty vividly that was one of the first times in a long time I've been nervous on stage, but I wasn't nervous to perform. I was nervous to talk to the judges.
Well, it didn't show, but go on.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's what really happens.
Yeah.
I get nervous. Not as much anymore. I've been doing it so many years. But I think the nervousness will go away when you really are so confident that I know what I'm doing.
Right.
If I don't know what I'm doing, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
But if I know what I'm doing and I'm out there and I know what song's coming up and I know what I feel from the audience, I know what my band is playing, I'm confident. I feel real good. Like you said, I'm very confident and nice on stage. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you're right. There is, because there's also the level of certainty and control. This is my show. I am in charge of it, and I get to decide what I do and where I move, and they're
That's
here to
right.
see me. I'm not in the way. I'm not obnoxious. I'm not, weird. They came here to watch me.
Right.
I can do
So
that.
you're 50% ahead.
Yeah.
Now, if you get a good song to open up, you're
You're
there.
golden. Yeah. That's right.
But you're there to perform.
Yep.
It is a job.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there to make these people feel great
Yes.
and to enjoy songs and things that they've done in their life.
Yeah.
And music puts people together.
Yeah.
And you're there to put them together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you feel that, and you look in that audience, and you see the people. There are many times I see people all of a sudden grab hands, hold hands with one another, start to hug one another.
Yes.
Sings. So, and I get goosebumps. I mean, sometimes I choke up because I see them so happy. It's a wonderful feeling.
It is, and I love that you say that, because there is an element of like, I love people and I want to make people happy. That's why I
And
chose
you get an
to grow up
immediate
with-
response in a live setting too.
Yes.
You can see
where
that.
I'm not in the way. I have this fear in public, and this is probably also why I don't like shopping, that I'm doing something. I must be doing something wrong. No matter how well I prepare, there's got to be something I'm doing. Like, I have dreams about this where people are looking at me and they're laughing or they're angry, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out why. What am I doing? And it's obvious to everybody but me.
Well, yeah.
I'm missing that sixth sense,
Right, yeah.
And on stage that doesn't happen. On stage I do know what I'm doing.
That's right.
And I'm making people happy. And I get to not be a burden in people's lives. I get to be, inspiring, or, and it's not even about me on stage. It's about the show. And making people come away feeling happy, giving them a dopamine rush.
That's a very good point, and I was taught that long time ago. One of my mentors that was teaching me said to me, "Don't do things that are foul and on stage. I want you to do it, even though it's not a laugh. I want them to take you home. I want them, when they're waiting to get their car, to say, remember what he said about this? And remember that song, what he did? And he said, and the next morning, while they're having their coffee and breakfast, do you know when he talked about his family? Do you know when he did? Let them take you. If they take you home, you scored.
That's a question for both of you, and you've both, obviously, Frankie, you've toured for many years, but the idea of crafting a story, the arc of a performance. Tell me from both of you the idea of how, because you can't just, I'm assuming you can't just come out and wow them with right off the bat, and then you start up here. Like, tell me about the arc of telling a story, start to finish, in a 2-hour concert. You both have to obviously plan that in advance and think about it, but what's that process?
Well, it's kind of different. Like, for me, we have different types of shows. Like, we have our America's Got Talent, covers, pop songs, impressions shows, and then we have our, what I would call our internet or our fandom music shows, where we perform mostly at conventions and we do stuff based off of cartoons and things like that. With every show, though, and my brother's a genius at this, by the way, at building shows. He's very, very good at it. But we both have the same kind of understanding that you're telling a story with your show. Even if it's not a lyrical story, I like to follow the Fibonacci sequence, which is just kind of the natural point of peak, rising action. Or the movies do it. Even within a song, it happens. There's structure, and it's not 100% have to be set in stone, but there is an optimal flow where you want to bring people in, get them really excited, then you want to take them close, then you want to wow them, and a good show will take them through all of the emotions.
Right. That's what I do, yeah. It takes such a long time to build a show. You try certain numbers, you try certain dialogue, you try certain. I know one thing. There's in anything, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yeah. And you can't start from the end because you got more to do. So you build, like you talked about, Ryan, where you got an opening song, and then you take your audience a little bit here, then you talk to them a little bit here, then you let them relax because they get nervous.
Yes,
so now you want to relax your audience, and now you take them with something that's a little powerful and more powerful. Then you take them back down again. Then you start to reminisce with them. Now you become part of your audience. audience.
Yes.
And it's building and building until the end. And now you build to that ending, and by the time you're ending and you're saying goodnight, they're on their feet standing because they loved it.
Yes.
But it's an art.
Yeah.
It is.
You
It
just don't
absolutely
show
is.
up.
Yeah.
That's one of those,
Yeah.
for the audience, one of those subconscious elements that there have been lots of trial and error leading up to buying that ticket, right? When they finally sit down to watch a Frankie Avalon concert or Black Gryph0n in Basic, like, we're going on a ride. But
Well,
there's a
I'll
lot of
say,
stuff
I'll give
in
an
it.
example, and I make a lot of changes. I'm known as changes, with the guys who work for me.
Yeah.
But I'll go to the fact that I say, we'll be doing a song, and I'll get off stage because I know I just finished this. And I said, take 4 bars out of that. It's too long there. I don't need that there. It means nothing. It's redundant. I don't need that. Take 4 bars out of there. Okay, let's get this. Put the ending here. Yeah. I mean, I work with my Ray, who is my guy, Konetsky. He's just terrific. We've been together for 30 years, and we work out things. It's an art.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to kind of touch on this because we were talking about this earlier, that there are different kind of personas and there are different styles. And what I noticed about you is I would describe you as being very accessible. You go on stage and you look like I could be your friend. And even after one song, it's like, I feel like I could go talk to that guy. I feel like I would be comfortable. And here I am,
very nice.
actually
Thank
talking to you. But you mentioned earlier, and that's when I kind of brought it together, that you were kind of shy.
Yes.
And that you brought that naturally to the stage, that you were shy. And I think what that also shows people too, the unintended side effect of that is too that you have humility, that you don't view yourself as what you were, teen idol, the heartthrob, but to you, you're just Frankie, and you're just there to sing a little song, and make people's day a little bit brighter. And I think that is a big part of the performance that wasn't even intentional. It's just you. It's just who you are.
Well, there's one thing I always say. I say to the audience, I can't do what you do. You can't do what I do. But you know what? We do.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what it is.
I love that. I love
good.
that.
Yeah.
That's really good. There was a time when Elvis Presley, Frankie Avalon, and Ricky Nelson were the 3 biggest icons in entertainment, and you knew those
Arguably
guys.
still are.
I would say so.
Well.
but tell us a little bit, Frankie, about how the way you just characterized it was shyness, about how that contrasted with those guys and what that was like, and being on stage. And you brought up a point when you saw a video of him talking to a young lady who just could
Bobby
not
Socks
keep
to
it together.
Stockings. That's right.
Which one was it?
It was Bobby Socks to Stockings, and you went up and held a girl's hand. Just a little intimate moment, and she burst into tears.
Yeah.
And your reaction to that was, "I'm sorry."
Yeah,
Like that.
right.
That's what it looked like. You.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then for her, you made her
Please,
day.
Yeah.
And so
you
you
don't know
you-
what
you-
to say.
Yeah. Yeah,
was great.
which just is
That was
all
a
the
great
more
part of my
wholesome.
life, though. That was so interesting. I mean, you go from one thing. I walked down the halls of my school. Nobody screamed.
Right.
Jumped at me or whatever. I don't know what happened, but it happened.
Yeah.
It was just a great experience.
The first time we introduced our kids to Gabriel, we were shooting a movie in Texas, and my wife had been introduced to you, and we were familiar with what you did, particularly with impressions, and there was a role for a singing angel. And we immediately thought of Gabriel. There was no audition process. We said, that guy. And we flew you in, and my kids were fans of yours, and they're pretty nonplussed by. They're not starstruck at all. They've grown
Well,
up.
they grew up in
They
this
grew up in
industry.
this industry. They have friends who are on series. Celebrities are in their backyard, but they were completely gobsmacked when you walked through the door. Now you guys play video games and hang out and wear Bowser hoodies at Universal. But
That's
but when they saw you, it's kind of an interesting. And I want to talk a little bit about the music careers between the two of you. Very different. And I also want to pick up too, Gabe, when you talked about fandoms, and I want to get into that a little bit. But the two of you have had very different entertainment careers and music careers, and the way the trajectory of your career has gone. Yours, Gabriel, is a fascinating one because you are now utilizing technology and the advent of YouTube and fandom and social media, monetizing social media in a way for a period of your career which was probably foreign to to Frankie. But tell us a little bit about that, and when you pick up from when you were in Arizona and you're like, okay, I can do impressions. What do I do with this? And YouTube will pay me some money. Go.
Yes. So
And that's how my kids got to know you.
This is great, and I would like to say, even just before I start, I've been extremely curious about how your career evolved as technology changed, as you were because even in the last 5 years, or I guess it's closer to 10 years now, I feel like so much has changed, and I have had to change with the times very rapidly, because if I didn't, I would lose relevance and therefore lose money and have to find an honest job. But I started out doing the YouTube impression videos just because I knew that views equaled money. And I was like, 1,000 views is $1. If I can get 1 million views a month, I can get my own place. If I can get 10 million views a month, I can maybe buy a car and a house. That changed very quickly. Because as soon as I started gaining traction and gaining popularity, I started losing money, because the record labels would come in and they would say, well, this is our song and this is our IP and you can't use that, and we'll split this with you 90-20 or 90-10, and
Right.
And so suddenly for like maybe a year, YouTube was lucrative, and then that started to drop off. And there was a simultaneous with the rise of AI and voice changers and stuff like that, where people were more and more skeptical of what I was doing. And they're like, this isn't real. He's faking this. This is CGI.
Yeah.
And these days, even now I see on these like 8-year-old videos that this is AI. It's like, it didn't even exist. But people
Right,
don't look.
yeah, right.
They don't look at the date, So I had to change gears. And my brother and I, who had done music a lot when we were kids, he was still in the military. He went to the Naval Academy. He was in flight school to be a fighter pilot. Then he became an oceanographer,
Wow.
doing like geological surveys, like all kinds of stuff. When he got out of the military, I kind of, approached him, was like, hey, let's try this music thing again, because I've got a following now, but what I'm doing is no longer paying. I had to start taking up sponsorships. That was the only way I could make money, and I hated doing that. I don't know how you felt about that, but I hated promoting something, especially if I didn't believe in it. It's like, because I am using my influence to sell something.
And if you don't believe in it, it's wrong.
Yes.
Right.
So one of my first sponsorships that I remember feeling very guilty about was Raid Shadow Legends. And I eventually agreed to do it because I started playing the game. And I was like, okay, now I can endorse it because I actually enjoy playing the game. But even then, I have, I never spent any money on the game. It is a pay to play, system. And a lot of people did. They probably made quite a bit of money off of, the people that played the game, because Black Gryph0n played it. And so Nate and I started doing music, and it took us a little while to get off the ground. I was doing voiceover on the side. I did a pilot, even just the singing voice of a character in a show called Has-Been Hotel. And Nate and I wrote a song based off of the character that I sang for in the show. And that was our first gold record, and now platinum record. And that is what we're doing now. So, but we changed gears multiple times in that period, because between impressions and doing original music, we did America's Got Talent. And we started going off and doing these corporate gigs.
Right.
Right. And we did a lot of it. Like for 2 years, we did probably, 30 or 40 gigs. And it's great because they paid really well, but then it's kind of like back to voiceover. You're not making residuals. You get paid when you perform. When you stop performing, you stop making money.
Right.
And so I kind of eventually I want to settle down. I'm thinking way in the future, I want to be able to retire. This isn't sustainable. I can't keep touring, if I'm going to get married, if I'm going to have kids.
Now, mine was completely opposite.
Interesting.
The changes.
Yeah.
I never made changes.
Interesting.
No. I sang the way I sang all my life. I tried to do some things that started to change. Not me. And I'll tell you what, it really worked for me, because when I did that film, Grease,
Yeah.
that was offered to me, and I had seen the play. And my manager had the script, and he said, they want you. I said, what role? He said, Teen Angel. I said, no, pass. And finally, he said, no, Paramount wants to see you, at least a meeting. Go meet with them, would you? I said, okay. So I go in and they say, why don't you want to do this picture, Grease, Teen Angel? I said, because I saw the play on Broadway, and it's really Elvis. It's he comes down in a rope, and he's all in black, and he's got long sideburns, and he does little gyrations. I said, I don't do that. I've got my own style.
Yeah.
They said, we'll change it.
That's awesome.
I said, what do you mean you'll change it? They said, we'll put you all in white, and you sing your style. And I sang Your Story Sad to Tell, a teenage ne'er-do-well. It was my style. It was, I did my style and got me the role.
Awesome.
Well, it worked.
And to this day, I still do the songs that I did years ago because that's what they want to hear.
But you know what I love? You described something that I've noticed in a lot of the projects that I've done. Authenticity is what lasts, and you can't manufacture that. If you had kept it in that Elvis, it probably wouldn't have landed because it's not you.
Right.
But because they respected you as the performer.
Right.
And I'm working on a game right now called Billy Bust Up, where it's the most fun I've had in a project in a very long time because they let me put myself into the character, into the game. They respect me as the performer. I don't need to be to ever change, to fit, whatever. So it's been an amazing, part of my career, and it's taken me 10, 15 years to even get to that point where I finally found people that respect me. And I'm not dissing the people who don't. Like, everybody's got a vision, and a lot of times, you as the writer, you're like, this is how I picture this character, this is how I picture that character, and you try to find someone who fits that. I think some of the best projects, and the reason Grease is timeless, even to this day, is they find an actor and they go, you are the reason that you're successful. You're the best at what you do, and you are going to make the character yours. Kind of like Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man.
Sure. Yeah.
That's like beach party, muscle beach party, bikini beach party, son of a... That's like bingo, all this stuff. Frankie played Frankie.
Yeah.
Everyone was the same.
Love
I
it.
just had fun.
Yeah.
I figured this is what I could vision and visualize if I were a kid on the beach from South Philadelphia in the streets. This is what Frankie would be doing. And I kept that same thing.
It worked.
That's beautiful.
It worked. Some of our audience, and I'm including myself in this as well, I don't really understand how you become a character in a game. Explain to us how, like you're working with Billy Bust Up right now, how does that process come together, and how do they utilize you and your characterization inside of a video game?
Well, it's interesting because I've done a few projects like this, and each time it's been different. I mean, even you mentioned when I did the movie, you cast me because you saw what I was doing, and you're like, we like what he's doing. You cast me. I got to play me. It was for a short bit of time, but it was like the angel I played was based off of me. I even got to ad-lib some music, even though I'm not fond with the ad-lib I came up with. I got to be creative, So for Billy Bust Up in particular, I have been working with this composer, film and TV composer named Daniel Ingram for a very long time. And he has had me do, of all the stuff I've done for him that has made it to film and TV, I've done 10 times more demos for him. And when I was in Vancouver, I was often his go-to because the memory thing, I can learn a song very quickly, and so I'm efficient. I can knock out the recording, and I can sound like anybody that he wants me to sound like. So he had me do a demo for this game. I wasn't even cast, where I needed to sound like Michael Kovac, who's now a friend of mine. But that was his basically pitch for the song that they wanted. And I did the song, and Katie and Ash, the head game developers, came to me after the fact and were like, hey, we really like what you did with this song. We have to replace you because this is the singer, the character.
Right.
But we've got this other character named Barnaby. He is an owl. He's a ghost. He's super eccentric. He's nuts. Can you just give us your take on that? And so what I did, because I hadn't gotten a breakdown like that before.
Right.
Usually people tell me what they want, sound like this. So I go, well, owls go, hoo, 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 hoo. What if that were speaking? Hoo, 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 hoo. Hello, well, I'm Barnaby. I'm an owl. and then I would laugh, hoo, 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 you know,
Yeah,
like an owl. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's awesome!" So we did the audition, which they ended up animating, and then we did a song, Not Lying to Me. That's another song in the game that hasn't come out yet. We could talk about it. It's okay. A Million Gruesome Ways to Die. That's the song that my character sang.
Wow.
And they released it as a demo, and just millions of views. It just blew up. The game isn't even out yet.
Wow.
And this went mega viral. So this character that's supposed to be this one-off in the game now has 3 songs in the game. He's one of the main boss battle villains at the end. He has this beautiful kind of redemption arc. It's really awesome. And it's all because they respected what I did. They let me do what I did. And then they saw, the results of that. And it was awesome.
Ryan, could we tell our audience here on my podcast here how they can see and watch the work of Gabe? I don't know social media. Tell everybody how you got what a brilliant talent. How do they get to see you? Say some of my people out there have never seen you.
Right.
Tell everybody.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you. So I'm mostly on YouTube under the username Black Gryph0n, BlackGryph0n. Had I known that my channel was going to get popular, I probably wouldn't have picked that name. But, here we are. And most of the stuff that I do that I'm most proud of is the work that my brother and I do together, the original music that we write. There are lots of projects that I'm in that you can see. I've done Finding Dory, My Little Pony, Littlest Pet Shop, Yokai Watch.
So you're all over the place.
Yeah,
basically.
but my stuff
is
is on the Black Gryph0n YouTube channel.
And speaking of being all over the place, my kids play Fortnite, and they play.
Oh yeah, we're in Fortnite too. I forgot.
There's so many other video games. I mean, the kids and grandkids will know you from video game voiceover and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Again, just to put you on the spot as we sort of close things out for this episode, but you've heard Frankie Avalon now for about 40 minutes, and you've listened to his voice. Can you do an impression of the Frankie Avalon?
Let's see. Say something. I'm going to try to repeat it.
Tell me about the first time that you ever thought about performing.
Well, this is tough.
That's good.
The first time I thought about performing, I was very young. And I can't do it, man. I don't. You got a difficult voice to do.
That was
but
I don't think I have a very distinct. I do have, but sometimes on the phone, I'll say this is Frankie Avalon calling. It is, it is recognizable.
Yes.
But I don't know if you can duplicate it that easily.
So the hard part is everybody's throat, mouth shaped differently.
Right.
You have a low voice and a high formant. That's a difficult thing to mimic. I would have to very much change the shape of my throat to be able to imitate your speaking.
Do it. We're here. No, I'm kidding.
But here's I do have a story for you though, and that involves you. So when I was the first time I lived in Arizona, I was joined we always did local community theater, and we were doing a cabaret, and they wanted Beauty School Dropout because it's one of the most famous Broadway songs in the cabaret. And they came to me and they said, "Hey, do you think you could do Beauty School Dropout?" And they said, "It's okay if you can't. It's Frankie Avalon. Completely unique voice. No one can sound like Frankie Avalon." So I took that as a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And while I don't think I did it, I sounded exactly like you. That was
the phrasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I learned your mannerisms.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And even then, I think I was 16 when that happened.
Yeah.
And kind of became obsessed with the way you effortlessly were charming. Because there's, especially with a lot of modern performers, it's about being as big and brash, brazen, all the B words as you can be. And here you are. Your story is sad to tell. A teenage ne'er-do-well. Most mixed up non-delinquent on the block.
There
and
you
would
go.
do and you did this. I love this, and I always try to do it. You go, your future's so unclear now. What's left of your career now? And you kind of throw, softly. It's almost like you're sympathizing with her on that line.
Isn't that something how, when I look at it from time to time, I say, Jesus, I really was good in that.
Yes, but then you do this little.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I was, and I got a lot from Didi Conn, Frenchie,
Oh, she's just
because
ogling.
she was a fan.
Yeah, that I
sure.
can
Yeah,
see
you
that.
can see that.
You can
She
see
was
that.
really a fan.
Who wasn't?
And I really felt like I was talking to this little girl that's been a fan of me for a long time. And it all came together, It was
Man, what a
great,
moment for her too. That
So
she got
Oh,
to
she was
Yeah.
wonderful.
on film, got to have a private concert from Frankie Avalon immortalized
Yep.
Yeah,
as in angel garb.
Yeah.
And you're still friends with her to this day.
Oh yeah. She's a wonderful gal. Has a son that's autistic.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Oh, that's
I want to have you back, Gabe, and I want to talk more about you. I mean, the music, the entertainment is so fascinating. I want to talk about your hobbies and your a little more about you and your military life. But one question for you, Frank. You do have a voice that's so unique and so interesting, and even experts find it difficult to mimic. Were you ever the voiceover or the voice of any product or anything? Just your voice?
I did a voiceover for a feature film, animated,
Oh wow.
and it was called Alakazam the Great. And I played Alakazam, who talked like that. Where am I going to go? I don't know what to do. Gee, maybe I could, So I played Alakazam. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So much in common, you guys. Gabriel, we promise to have you back, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been excellent.
Thank you, Gabe. You're great.
Thank you very much, Frankie.
And we've done this before, but you listen to the show, Gabe, so you know how Frankie does his outro.
I do.
I'm going to challenge you guys to do it together. Look down the pipe of that camera right there, and you see if you
All
can
right,
get together.
we say this. I'm going to leave you with a little thought. That is, if you ever run into someone who isn't wearing a smile, give him yours. Because the world will always smile with you.
There it is. Thanks, guys.